Okay, we're ready to go. I now call to order the Planning Commission meeting of December 6th, 2023. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the statement of values.
As we gather, we humbly seek blessings upon this meeting. May we act with strength, courage, and will to perform our obligations and duties to our people with justice to all. Let us seek wisdom so that we may act in the best interest of our people, our neighbors, and our country. All of this we ask that we may serve our community with fairness and respect during their needs before all.
Thank you. Please be seated. We have been notified that Chair Chirukuru will be joining the meeting later today. So until that time, I will be serving as chair. Elizabeth, please, could you call the roll?
Sure. Commissioner Bhatnagar,
Yes?
Commissioner Biagini. Here. Commissioner Wang. Commissioner Buza.
Present.
Commissioner Salem.
Here.
And Commissioner Crutchlow.
Present.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to excuse Commissioner Wang?
I'd like to make a motion to excuse Commissioner Huang.
Anybody second?
Second.
Thank you.
So
Seconded
for the
by,
record, the motion was made by Commissioner Biagini and seconded by Commissioner Crutchlow. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Thank you. Please cast your vote.
Elizabeth, they're not coming up.
Okay. Let's see. Commissioner Bhatnagar, do you want to, thank you.
Yes?
And Commissioner Buza?
Yes.
And Commissioner Crutchlow?
Yes.
Great, thank you. The motion passed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. We'll go through the Declaration of Commission Procedures. And Secretary Buza, would you please read the Declaration for Commission Procedures?
Public hearings are conducted by the chair in accordance with the following procedures. The chair of the commission directs all.
Oh,
There you go. Public hearings are conducted by the chair in accordance with the following procedures. The chair of the commission directs all activity during the hearings. All comments shall be addressed to the commission. Any items on the agenda may be continued to subsequent hearings. Applicants will be allowed up to 10 minutes to present and justify proposals. Following staff presentations of the items, other speakers will be given up to 2 minutes. The applicant is allowed up to 5 minutes for a rebuttal of the comments. No additional comments will be accepted upon the close of the public hearing, although the commission reserves the right to direct questions to any speaker on any matter. Special procedures limits may be applied to any item as prescribed by the chair. Appeal of commission actions must be filled in writing within 7 calendar days.
Thank you, Commissioner Buza. Copies of the current agenda and staff reports for each of the items on the agenda are available from the Planning Division office on the Friday afternoon preceding the meeting and available online. Now, this part of the meeting allows for applicants, members of the public, or other interested parties to request an item be either continued without hearing, withdrawn, or taken out of order. Are there any requests, applicants, the public, or the commission for a continuance or exception of any of the items on the agenda tonight?
Continuance for number 2.
And Mr. Chair, if I could just remind the public that in order for the Planning Commission to take any action, 4 votes are required, even when there are only 5 people present. And so for that reason, we give all applicants the right to request a continuance when not all commissioners are present.
And Chair, we do have a request from an applicant for a continuance this evening.
Okay,
That will be for item 2 on the agenda. This is action on a conditional use permit to install 4 additional emergency generators at the McLaren Data Center located at 737 Matthew. And they are requesting this be continued into the January 10th, 2024 Planning Commission hearing.
okay. So we can take that up as an item for the next meeting in January, correct? Okay. Was there any request regarding any of the items on the consent calendar?
I believe we have some people here who wanted to speak on the consent calendar. And is this the time for them to speak, Xander?
Well,
Or pull it?
if a member of the public has requested that an item be pulled on the consent calendar, then it should be pulled so that that member of the public has an opportunity to speak. So you'd simply pull the item that's been requested, then you'd take the consent calendar, then you take the item that was pulled.
Yes, thank you. So there was a request, and we will pull the item number 1B from the consent calendar. Okay? And we will take that up as the first item in the public hearing.
Correct, yes.
Okay?
Oh, we're not there yet?
Yeah, we're almost ready.
Okay, so in this case now, then we can take a vote to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Second?
Your mic wasn't on.
Sorry about that.
Commissioner Salim made the motion. Who seconded it? Commissioner Biagini,
Biagini,
thank
yeah.
you.
All right, thank you. We need to vote.
Please cast your vote. Commissioner
We're
Botnick,
not getting here, so we'll have to vote by voice.
say that again?
We'll have to vote by voice. We're not getting
Some
it.
are able to vote.
Yeah.
So I'll
I
call
was
the
able to
ones.
vote automatically. If you're not able to, probably you need to
draw
power it
it
off,
in.
power it on.
Commissioner Busa, did you want to cast your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. The motion passed. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. We're good now.
Off to. Have to leave and join.
Yeah.
Yes, so now we'll move to the public presentations. Are there any members of the public that would like to briefly address the commission on any items not on the agenda? So anybody wants to have a topic discussed which is not on the agenda today? Anybody online, Elizabeth?
There are no hands online.
No.
Okay. All right, then we'll go to the public hearing. And we'll,
We haven't talked about the pulled item though, which was.
Yes,
We're gonna do
he's
it
going to do
now.
that under public hearing now.
yes. Yes. So we'll take up, as our colleague here was pointing out, we'll take up the first item on the public calendar, on public hearing. The item 1B, action on a vesting tentative map for 5185 Lafayette Street for the proposed development of a 198-unit housing development with 4 commercial condominiums. CEQA addendum to the Tasman East Specific Plan EIR, Environmental Impact Report. So do we have a staff presentation on this?
Thank you, Chair. Staff does not have a presentation this evening, but we are here for any questions that the commission may have. And I would like to mention that we did receive one comment letter today that was distributed to the Planning Commission on this item via email.
Yes, thank you. So without a staff presentation, we can go to open the public hearing?
Yes.
Okay,
We do have 3 people who have requested to speak, and is it Jay Anthony? Thank you.
Yep.
Come on up. You'll have 2 minutes to speak.
Good evening, Planning Commission members. My name is Jay Anthony Medhivar. I'm a carpenter here in Santa Clara County. I'm excited about the progress we're making with the 5185 Lafayette Street project. It's fantastic to witness growth in our city. Now imagine if we could make it even better by adopting area standards for all projects. Let me break it down to you from a carpenter's viewpoint. Area labor standards means fair pay, healthcare, accredited apprenticeship programs, and giving priority to local hires. For us carpenters, this is about getting a decent wage for our hard work, ensuring we have health coverage, opportunities to improve our skills, and giving locals a shot at the jobs. When we take care of the people building our city, it reflects positively in the structures themselves. So let's not just construct buildings. Let's build a community that values its workforce. Thank you for considering this essential standards for the 5185 Lafayette Street project and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Commissioner Biagini has a question.
Of course.
Hi, are you a member of the Carpenters Union?
Yes.
Please come up here, yeah, for the record.
Yes, ma'am. We're out of local 405 here in San Jose, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Any other questions from any members of the commission? Okay, all right, thank you very much. Next speaker.
Next speaker, Mark Irving. Oh, you are, I'm so sorry. Ron Patrick?
2 minutes for the guy who's right beside this development. Okay. I'll put down to the most important thing. When this Tasman East and, was it related, Santa Clara project started, a key component was that industrial, existing industrial uses would be allowed to stay and to resell. And that's good, but you got to get to your building. This is the first construction of what's called the island, the center area, which has a road down the middle and a bunch of roads like that. They're easements. And the only way we can get to our buildings are through these easements. So we've been very cognizant of attack on that. In the conditions of approval, there's a cryptic thing in here. Obtain council approval of a resolution ordering vacation of existing public easements proposed to be abandoned, then if any, through Public Works Department. This is very vague. I have 1 more minute. What I'd like for you to preserve is our right to use the existing easements. We've been under constant attack by developers to cede those. We can't get to our properties without those easements. The development behind me by the same developer, we put in the conditions of approval that we would have access to the easements so we get in and out of our property. But I notice it's kind of missing from here. And so this abandonment of easement, this is kind of how you would take this. It's subject to interpretation. So what I'd like for you to add, in the 29 seconds I have left, is protection that existing businesses here can still use those roads. So we can get to the back. We can't get to our property other than helicopters without them. So we need to preserve those existing easements after the development and also during them, so we're not choked out. And that's all you get.
Thank you very much.
Unless you ask me to speak more.
We may have questions, and you will have a chance to address these questions. Thank you. Thank you and appreciate it.
I got a question.
Yeah, hold on. First, Commissioner Biagini.
Ron, I'm looking at the document that you sent in. There's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, several pages. Which item on that document has the language that you're looking for?
I guess, okay, which item?
Yeah, I didn't want to. I thought you might know it a little quicker than I would by going through it again.
It would be,
If you're going to answer a question, if you could do it at the microphone, so it'll be.
Yeah, if you can come to the microphone so that,
6, 7, largely 6, 7, 15 to a certain extent. But keep in mind that I just got access to this conditions of approval today. And so that came as a real shock, that one where they're talking about abandoning easements.
okay, and yeah, I know, I just got your letter today too, so we're both in the same boat. So you want to add protection, could you repeat again what it is
I
you're
would like
looking?
add a
the
protection
language?
for the red lines on page 1 so that we are allowed to use those as we are now.
So that.
There they are. There's a picture is the proposed development, 5185, put a black
Well,
line
I
around it.
actually, oh, hang on. I actually want to understand it in a way that I can restate it, so that existing easements can be used by the current businesses? Does that capture what you're talking about?
Yes.
I had a
Oh,
point of
but if we
clarification.
sell it, the next guy gets to use it, you know?
Yeah,
That's
well, hold on, let me add a point of clarification if I may. Are you specifically talking about a prescriptive easement you have currently? Is that what you're referring to, or is there a different type of easement here now?
We have a number of legal documents. The thing used to be a business park, okay? And so there's 2 legal documents giving us the easement, and then there's also our deeds, which have it in.
Okay, so it's
You
not
think
a
it would be preserved, except when the development behind me went through this same process, there was we said, okay, you know, we can use the easements, and suddenly we were arguing with the developer that we couldn't. And so there's no access to the property otherwise.
But you already said that, excuse me, you already said you had a deed and you had it all written up that you have the legal rights to that easement, so they can't take that away from you.
Yes, and that's why
And
I wonder, why is that written, in other words, that is an attack on these rights.
It needs to be, sorry to interrupt, it just needs to be, a new classification should be done to make sure that you're protected with that easement that you have a deed for, and you have that. So that could be, you know, we could look into that then.
You could add you could add another line item. And it's not just me. It's just a road goes down. There's probably 12 companies that need it.
I see your point, because if you need deliveries, you need to go in and out. You can't go through Tasman to make deliveries from the trucks or anything like that.
Unless we go over lawns and curbs.
Right, that's exactly what you need those easements for. That's what it's intended for. So I see your point. We're not arguing here. We're in your favor.
So if I may summarize, the commission seems to agree with your point of view, and we'll come up with some language that will hopefully satisfy your needs. That's the intent. In any case, you have the legal rights to protect the deeds and the covenants that you currently have. But we understand the point you're raising. Thank you. And we'll work some wording together that should be
Run it by me?
satisfactory. You will always have rights to see what the language is, right? Yep. Yep. Thank you very much, Patrick. And we might debate some of it right now if the commissioners are willing to entertain some thoughts on that.
Yeah, because one of the questions I might ask Alexander, Abby, is the language that I like to add. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I can
I
predict.
don't have it memorized right now.
I probably have it in my notes from a prior meeting.
That would be helpful. So anyway, go on with the questions, because he knows what I will add to any motion.
If I may, in a prior meeting, you added a paragraph that said, "The city encourages the owner and any contractors or subcontractors working on the project to evaluate hiring local labor, hiring from or contributing to apprenticeship programs, increasing resources for labor compliance, and providing living wages during the development of this project.
When we're ready for the motion, those are the words I want to use. Thank you, Abby.
You're welcome, Biagini.
And we do need to take care of the public hearing comments as well.
Yeah, that's,
The public hearing is still open. Do you want to receive the rest of the public testimony, or you want to discuss this issue right now?
And we do have the applicant online who's waiting to speak as well.
So we need to give some time to the applicant as well to present.
Yeah, if I could just pipe in a little bit of legalese here as a spoiler. You know, it is common to require new public utility easements. Anytime you put in a new project, you got to put in new utility lines. And so toward that end, we've got this condition that says that the applicant will be required to dedicate required on-site easements for any new public utilities. And then concurrently with that, it's not uncommon to have old pipelines that you have to abandon. You need to get rid of, in that situation, the old easements. And so we have this very standard condition that's in virtually all of our approvals: obtain council approval of a resolution ordering vacation of existing public easements proposed to be abandoned. So if there are any public easements that need to be abandoned, this condition says the applicant must go to the council and get the council to approve the abandonment of those public easements. This has no effect on private easements. So to the effect, if he has a document with a private property owner where the private property owner says, you have a right to use my property for access, this would not affect that in any way, shape, or form. All this would affect is public easements. And again, the direction is that the applicant obtain council approval for vacation if any of those need to be vacated. So it's not just, you know, the applicant gets rid of the easements or city staff tells the applicant to get rid of the easements. No, there's a public process. The applicant comes to the city council at a public hearing, and then the city council orders the vacation of those public easements. So there's a review process to ensure that valuable easements aren't eliminated. But again, I believe the whole point here is abandoned pipes. I don't think they're talking about, certainly not private access easements.
no.
And I can add to that, the tentative map itself does show those ingress and egress easements on the map as remaining.
Right.
There you go, you're good. All taken care of.
So I will ask you one more time, the discussion that has just followed, does that satisfy your concerns?
Take a win and leave.
Ron?
The-
Ron?
Microphone.
It'd be nice to write a short sentence in there, as Mr. Zander said, to protect the easements. Now, what's public? Like, if somebody's delivering, is he public or something? You know, what's public and what's private? It just, you know what we're after, and a sentence would help out, because ambiguities, that's how lawsuits start.
Right, understand.
Right off that, you know, and then they dry you up with money.
Yes, thank you.
Lawyers.
One other point to be made is that the city attorney has said that this is standard language in our legal proceedings with developers and things like that, have been applied to, you know, hundreds of other projects in the past. And the intent is to do exactly what you just said. All public easements are to be protected, and unless specifically authorized, applied for, with a public hearing, and authorized by the council. Until that happens, those are protected.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you very much. And I'd like to thank Xander for clarifying, and I hope we can all settle easily with that commitment from the city. Okay, are there any other comments on this matter? Is there a third speaker on this matter?
No.
No?
The applicant does have their hand raised online.
Okay, then we should give some time for the applicant to speak. Go ahead.
And I should piped in earlier. I didn't realize the applicant was participating. Technically, for an application such as this, the applicant gets 10 minutes to speak and then 5 minutes for rebuttal. So he can have 15 minutes if he wants right now.
Add the rebuttal in to the comments made along with his applicant.
Yeah, I'm hoping that he won't keep us here
Yeah,
that
those
long,
are-
but it is his right.
Those are the rules, and that's his right. So let's have him speak.
Okay, all right, Steve, you should be able to go ahead and speak.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Yeah, I don't need to speak long. I think staff appropriately addressed the fact that the easements, the access private easements will be maintained, and we've always presented they will be maintained. They're in our plans. The DRH has reviewed those extensively, and they were all approved. The easements that might need to change a little bit are the public utility easement. I know there's a wire, a guy wire with a pole on Calle de Luna that doesn't exist anymore. So we're going to remove that easement. There are things like that that will happen as we go through the deeper construction documents with the utilities. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you for making that clear as well. Any questions to the applicant? Commissioners?
I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay, in that case, we can close the public hearing. Motion to close public hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Okay, please cast your votes.
Did that one more time. You have to leave and then join. Yep. It's coming up.
Actually, your vote is not showing. You're the only one that's not showing, so.
Yeah, so I can vote
Yes,
by voice vote and
It's
continue.
coming.
thank you.
But you all have voted?
Yes.
Yeah, everyone else has, thank you.
So my vote is
Okay,
also.
the motion passed, thank you.
Okay.
I'll make
Thank
a
you very
motion.
much.
I'd like to make the motion and I'm reading off the recommendation, since I believe your issues have been satisfied by what Alexander said. So a motion to adopt a resolution to recommend the city council approve the vesting tentative map to subdivide the existing lot with 198 residential condominium units, 4 commercial condominium units, 1 residential parking condominium unit, and 1 commercial parking condominium unit at 5185 Lafayette Street, subject to the findings and conditions of approval, and to encourage.
And to add as a new paragraph 4 to the resolution and renumber existing paragraph 4 as paragraph 5, the following text: the city encourages the owner and any contractors or subcontractors working on the project to evaluate hiring local labor, hiring from or contributing to apprenticeship programs, increasing resources for labor compliance, and providing living wages during the development of this project.
Thank you.
One addition note here.
I like to divide that into 2. Keep the part about the unions and so on separate from the proposal that approving the development. Part 1, part 2. Make 2 separate votes. Because if you vote no, if you vote against one of them or vote for both of them, you'll be negating things. Maybe you don't agree to the complete language of the whole thing. That's what I'm trying to.
Do I
trying
have
say.
to agree to
Make 2
that?
separate votes. Can we do that?
You can do that. The maker of the motion would have to agree to make that change. Does she?
No.
All right. And there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Point of order.
State your
I'd like
point.
to say that if we consider this, that there be debate on that additional point that Commissioner Biagini is bringing up, because this has come up many times before, and I think it is worth discussing.
Well, she has made it part of her motion, so it would be appropriate to debate that if there's a second on the motion, once, right now, basically.
Okay.
If there's a second. If there's no second, the motion dies.
Yeah, also, perhaps we should take it up as a city policy matter and not have to do this for every
Well, this is where we
project.
have to
Yeah.
either second it
Yes.
or have this debate. And what I want to say is I would like to talk about it a little bit separately. I get what you're doing and stuff.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
worry, but I think we should bring it
No,
up.
I don't know if there was a second. If there wasn't a
Is there
second,
a second? Then, Chair?
okay,
So far, no seconds.
okay, well then.
Then the motion dies. Is there another motion?
Okay, so then we have to make two motions.
A motion to make two motions.
A motion to
No,
make
no, no, no.
What's the right way to
That's
do
too
this?
meta. Just
You know,
just
do you
make
want-
the
do you-
staff's recommendation motion, and then, as Commissioner Booza suggested, then
And
go
then
to the
vote
regular.
on that at
Yeah.
the staff
Yes.
recommendation, then I can make the second motion, then we can vote okay.
Thank you.
I'm okay with
Right, yes.
it. Well, I mean, that is what
Okay,
it is.
so let's read the motion on the table one more time, please.
One moment.
Aha,
Chair is coming.
Ah,
You came at just the right.
you came in at just the
No,
right
it's not the right time for this item. She was not here for the public hearing, which has been closed, and therefore cannot participate in this vote. I am sorry.
I was listening
So,
to every word, though.
oh,
Well, then,
strike that. Commissioner Cherukuru has just indicated that she was listening to every word. Therefore, she is empowered to vote at this time.
I was online for the
Okay?
should I make a specific note that I'm now not chairing this meeting anymore and
You can
chair
continue
is?
to
We'll just note for the minutes that at 6:36
Yes, set up.
PM, the chair joined us, and we are very happy to see her.
Yes, certainly. All right,
Thank you, apologies again, sorry.
thank you, you could make it.
Managing life and work.
Okay, so could you read the motion, please,
do
one
you
more
want,
time?
okay, I'll start with the
The
staff
first- yes,
recommendation.
Yes.
Okay, and then I'll make the other one after we vote on this one. Motion to adopt a resolution to recommend the city council approve the vesting tentative map to subdivide the existing lot with 198 residential condominium units, 4 commercial condominium units, 1 residential parking condominium unit, and 1 commercial parking condominium unit at 5185 Lafayette Street, subject to findings and conditions of approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Please cast your vote. I don't know why it's showing up twice like that, but this is to approve staff recommendation.
So I still don't have the electronic vote. I'll vote by voice, and my vote is yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Booza, you're the last one. Did you want to cast your vote? Thank you. Great, thank you. And the motion passed. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Chair Cherukuru. There's a proposal to have an additional motion for completing this particular project that we're talking about.
Now I make the motion to.
Microphone?
My apologies. I'd like to make a motion, and again, Abby, you have the exact words. I'm afraid I'll stumble over it, about encouraging.
So if I understand the commissioner correctly, you would like to, since it wasn't part of this resolution we just recommended approval of, you would like to have a policy statement that this commission makes to the developer that the city encourages the owner and any contractors or subcontractors working on the project to evaluate hiring local labor, hiring from or contributing to apprenticeship programs, increasing resources for labor compliance, and providing living wages during the development of this project.
That was approved accredited apprenticeship programs, right? It should say approved accredited.
Hiring from or contributing to approved,
Accredited apprenticeship programs.
accredited
Yeah, apprenticeship programs.
apprenticeship programs.
Thank you. So that's my motion. And if there's a second, I guess.
second it.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question in general to staff before? If this is going to be like a standard recommendation, is that something that we can incorporate in? I'm trying to understand how we avoid deliberation on every
Every time.
project. If the general consensus from the Planning Commission is to add for large projects, the related language to supporting local labor and pay.
Yeah, that was the point
Yeah.
brought up earlier, and we should take it up as a policy
As a
matter.
Yeah, I think so,
As a recommendation to city council to kind of consider that as part of,
Madam Chair, hold on real quick. This is not part of it, but just staff, so you know, IT, so you can work on this. It's still asking to vote. It should be gone. Okay, because I see it on everybody else. I'm sorry.
you were still
My
showing for-
apologies. I just wanted to make sure that they had time to work on it if there was a
Yeah.
problem.
Priya, what's happening?
okay, yes.
Okay.
It's showing up on our screen.
Yeah, can I give a verbal vote?
Well,
The
Do
first
we have a
motion, we
motion
already
and a
voted.
second already? We do.
Yeah, there was a second.
yeah.
I seconded it for conversation.
Is that a conversation we can have after?
Yes, okay, got it, understood.
Okay. So I guess we could vote on this one and then have a conversation about whether we include it in future, so we don't have to bring it up every, or I don't have to
Well,
bring
I
it up
think
every.
before we even put it in, we should have the conversation.
Conversation first.
No?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
okay.
Yeah.
So let me just say, I think the thing is, number one, we can only recommend. We cannot, nothing we do is law, right?
Right.
City council, when they say it, it's a done deal.
Right.
And what I want to make sure that's really clear is that I think that this should be, adopted at the council level so that if they say, hey, look, as a policy motion, we always want to be able to include this. And they should have that debate because they're the ones that are going to say yes or no. We can only say, yeah, we can do it. And the thing is, I also want to make sure is that for the sake of time and such, and consistency, every time we add something, we may have to, make it a little bit different here or there just to make sure that we got the wording right for our staff to make it easier on them. One policy statement that everybody can have a discussion with city council, they say yes or no, and then, great. It'll always be there.
Great point.
So that's kind of what
Great
it's not that I'm
point.
against it, might just
No, great
make
point.
it
Great
cleaner and
point.
easier. Yeah.
Great point. I agree.
My concern with this was that a lot of the projects are privately funded. They're not government fundings, and there's no government funding at all with it. And I feel very uncomfortable forcing a private business to adhere to what the group of union, or even though I may agree with the union, but I don't feel that it should be the government to tell a private industry how to conduct themselves when they're doing something for profit for themselves, not for the city. It's not a city project. They shouldn't have to have anything to do with that. It's like if you're, for instance, are building your own house, you could hire whoever you want to once the project's approved. So it isn't necessary to start dictating businesses what to do and how to run their business. I feel very uncomfortable doing that or approving anything like that. Now, if it's a government that is subsidizing that, then it's completely different then, where we could do that.
No,
Not when it's a private entity. You should not
I
do that.
understand. I understand your point, but these are large projects, and I think, we have these ongoing conversations about projects like this that include a lot of residential housing and the issue with affordable housing and the like, and I don't see, and the reason I'm for this is, first off, it doesn't use the word union in there. It's talking about a livable wage and the like. So it's kind of hard on one hand to say we have to have more affordable housing and then not support the fact that folks have, let me use this word, affordable wages. Because you can't help on the housing costs and then ignore what the wage levels are like, which is what a living wage is. But if you're going to use affordable housing, what about affordable wages? So that's why I'm in support of it. I understand your point. That's why it's encouraged. That's why it's legitimate, accredited, and approved type apprenticeship programs, not somebody that, tomorrow says, hey, I'm going to start an apprenticeship program, and, it's not accredited. So that's where I believe this is a good policy to have, because it pairs neatly with the whole issue of affordability when it comes to building housing. And I don't think the developers are going
You're shooting yourself in the foot by saying affordability. When you're saying affordability, then you have to take in consideration also the cost of building
I
the
agree.
project. So if you put a lot of restrictions on a private entity building a project, then it's going to raise the costs up, so you're not going to have affordability at all. And it's going to take longer probably to complete the project.
possible,
So
but I
you
don't
have
think
to-
an
you have
affordable
to
wage
let-
is going to put a lot of
interject?
money.
Yeah, you have
It's
to
not-
let,
Thank you.
You
If I may interject. We respectfully agree to disagree.
and that's it.
And the language that is generally proposed by Commissioner Biagini with a second is to encourage, evaluate an opportunity. Where we went is, should we make more of the recommendation with City Council? So not to detract for this project, there's a motion and there's a second. On the language itself, you're welcome to cast your vote as you.
So let me just ask to clarify. So this motion specifically is to add it to, right, okay.
Correct. To this project?
This project only.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the language, if I heard it right, encourage the developer to evaluate
I don't know if you
Hiring
want to.
local labor,
local labor,
Local
accredited,
accredited apprenticeship programs.
Yeah.
and fair pay.
The policy decision's probably another time, but I think you have a good point.
So I'm not connected, and so we'll wait for.
Okay. Originally, I heard you say to also make the recommendation for council to add this language as policy, but we're taking that out. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay,
That might require a separate topic.
okay. That's
Thank
what I understood. Just want to make sure.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, please cast your vote.
I can say my verbal vote.
No, I cannot.
Yes, my verbal vote until I connect.
And my verbal vote, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I voted electronically here, but I want to say I voted no specifically because I want the city council to take this up and make sure that we get this and get it done on a permanent basis, rather than doing it for every specific project. Get it,
Understood.
Okay.
So the motion passes. Thank you. We have 4-2 on the additional language with the conditions of approval. Any other, I thought, but there were 3. I think we just did 2. Or did we do just the resolution and this? Okay. Adopt the CEQA already?
Yeah, we did.
The CEQA was adopted at the development review hearing in October. This is an action that falls within that CEQA, and there's no action to be taken by this commission tonight on the CEQA.
You know how I feel about that, though. The tail wagging the dog.
Understood. CEQA has to be done with the first discretionary action, which for this project was the architectural.
I would have appreciated, and maybe this is a topic for future confirmation, with the subdivision that the application be bundled and not separate. Because the 198 has a bigger implication, because when we do the Planning Commission resolution, it basically packages the whole thing, but we haven't seen anything on the 198 unit, but the resolution itself talks to it, like we did. So there's a little bit of a gap there in how we are looking at the project and what we are signing off or recommending approval on the resolution. We haven't heard a word on the 198. I'm sorry that staff did not prepare a report. It would have been helpful for us to actually hear a staff report. because that is a massive project. And I do appreciate your feedback, Ron, and your letter was very insightful for us to understand the power poles. So I appreciate the feedback that you provided. But as you can see, you're surrounded by everybody. Okay.
And that's good feedback to staff. I mean, CEQA does have to be taken with the
With the
first
first.
discretionary action, which for this project was the architectural. That being said, the architectural review ordinance does empower the Director of Community Development to refer an architectural review to
The
the Planning Commission. So for a similar project of this scale, a determination could be made, for instance, you know what, we should bundle these and send it directly to Planning Commission rather than preceding the map.
Because at this point, we're doing what? Tentative vesting map. But what if we recommend and City Council said no? How would it change the dynamics of an architectural review that just approved 198?
You're only approving the condo map, so consistency with the general plan, that's all you're doing. You're not approving a project with the map.
Yeah, but I'm saying the project itself is based on the division of land for the 198 condominium units. So it's like you're convoluting the land away from the building. But the entitlements separation adds to the complexity. If one says no to the subdivision, then what happens to the project?
It would be an apartment complex essentially with multiple buildings.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to sell the
We
condos.
already voted on this and approved this. Can we move on then and come back to this later?
Commissioner Boozer, I'm still chair. Thank you.
Well, let's move along then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But for future, let's consider the bundling opportunities such that we get to see those larger condominium projects. With that,
And not to prolong things any further, I'm sorry, was there any specific direction to staff on the broader policy? I mean, do you want to debate at a future meeting the issue of asking City Council to incorporate this into every resolution?
Yes.
Is that you'll need to agendize, because that's not on the agenda tonight, but if you'd like to direct staff, we can put
That's
that
what
on
I
a
was getting
future
to.
agenda to debate whether or not to forward to City Council a recommendation to include such language in all similar applications.
Would it also be appropriate to do that on January 30th when we have the quote-unquote dinner with the city council?
Yes. So January 10th.
What would be the right way to do, I thought it was changed to the 30th.
January 10th, you have an agenda item to discuss your priorities, which then at your dinner with the city council, it would be at that time you could present those priorities and be very succinct about what the planning commission would like to work on.
Good timing.
Yeah, very.
okay, moving to the next topic.
Item number 3 on the agenda. Item number 2 has been pulled. Sure.
Oh, pardon me, Chair. So, as you may have heard earlier in the meeting, Ms. Xavier pointed out that the applicant for item number 2 is requesting a continuance.
Got it.
The commission has not actually taken the formal action yet to continue that item. So what would be appropriate now is to open the public hearing for item number 2 and then take a vote to immediately continue it to the January 10th meeting.
Thank you. So calling out for item number 2, which is action on the conditional use permit. Am I reading the right topic?
Yes.
To install 4 additional emergency generators at the McLaren Data Center located at 737 Matthew. Technically, we will open it for public hearing.
And if anyone cannot be at the January 10th meeting that really wants to speak on this, they have the opportunity to speak tonight, but we would encourage them to wait until January 10th. So,
Thank
is there
you. Do we have
member of
any
the public that wants to
members
speak? Yeah.
in-house who wants to speak to this item or online?
No, we do not have any hands raised to speak online, and no one in the council chambers is requesting to speak.
I see Commissioner Salem has.
No, I just wanted to go ahead and
ahead.
make the motion to
Yes,
continue
please do. Please do. To date certain.
to date certain,
January 10th.
date January 10th.
You have a motion to continue this item to date certain January 10th, 2024. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Salem, and seconded by Commissioner Crutchlow. Thank you.
Okay, please cast your vote. Chair Kuru?
Yes,
Okay, and then,
Yes.
Commissioner Bartner.
okay, the motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to the next order of items, we have item 3, action on a conditional use permit and architectural review for a new Lincoln dealership at 3155 Stevens Creek Boulevard with a sequel of mitigated negative declaration. Staff?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one second as I pull it up. Anybody can see the PowerPoint or just the city logo?
See it on Zoom.
I see it on my laptop, but not on the big. There we
There
go.
we are.
Oh. Okay. All right. Yes, Steve Lee, project planner for this project at 3155 Stevens Creek Boulevard, is for the new Lincoln dealership. Let's move this. Okay. The request before you tonight is 3 adoptions of the mitigated negative declarations and the associated mitigations monitoring and reporting program, and also approving the conditional use permit and architectural review, that's written twice, sorry, for the new Lincoln dealership at 3155 Stevens Creek. The architectural review approval is for the remodel and the new constructions of the dealership. So a little bit about the site here. It's a 1.1 acre site. It's on the south side of the city, bordering City of San Jose. And also it has Cecil Avenue on the north side of this project site. The general plan designations is regional commercial, and the zoning is thoroughfare commercial, CT. And the site conditions, there's residentials above north of Cecil Avenue, commercial throughout the south and east and west of the site. This was the former Subaru dealership, which now moved to the west side adjacent to this property. And the existing site right now has the service area to be demolished. And then the sale area in green there will be remodeled. And there'll be site improvements as well. I'll go over those. This is showing you 2 site plans. There are 2 site plans because there's a temporary condition due to off-site parking, and I can explain that on the next slide. So the site plan on your left, which shows the temporary conditions, because the applicant has a lease for a site to have off-site parking on the City of San Jose side. And with this one here, they can accommodate some of the parking on site, and then the rest will be off-site. So what you see in red is the new service area, and then in green is the remodel of the showroom. The site will just have the new, actually I'll talk about the landscape in a bit, but the new circulations will be going straight under this drive-through canopy for the reception area, and then employee parkings will be on the back side here next to the trash enclosures and the service area, and then customer parking will be in the front, and then vehicle display will be right here in the middle and in front of the showroom here. On the proposed site plan on the right, you'll see in blue highlighted it shows the new, it's going to be their permanent stacker solution, and that's for the 3-level indoor stackers that can park up to 27 parking spaces, and that will eliminate the need for that off-site parking. And I'll show you that in the next slide. The temporary parking will take place right across the street, 3158 Stevens Creek on the City of San Jose side. And this table here shows the required parking for the site. At a 1 to 400 square foot, the site would need 57 parking spaces. And in addition to that, it also has an employee requirement. So 2 parking spaces per employee. So actually, 1 parking space per 2 employee. That's miswritten. 26 employees what expected at all time. So that's 13 parking spaces. 57 plus 13, that's 70 required on site. On the temporary side on the left, if the service parking will be provided at 52, and then off-site is 25 for a total of 77. On the permanent side, it will be 43, removed 9 spaces to build that parking stacker, and that accommodates up to 27 for a total of 70. For the landscape, 2 noticeable improvement is the removal of 4 trees on the Cecil Avenue to underground existing power line to address both Silicon Valley Power's comments to underground the overhead power line, and also to provide fire access on that side. And in the front, there'll be a new complete street frontage on Stevens Creek with 10-foot sidewalk, park strip, and trees planted on the park strip. This is the proposed elevation. The west elevation is on the very top. That's just what's fronting the Subaru side, so there's nothing there. There are 0 lot line setback. And then north elevations, this is facing Cecil Avenue. We'll be having this metal trellis, very similar to it's the same look as the Subaru rear landscaping plan. In the east elevations, this is what is fronting the surface parking in front of that. And then south elevations faces Stevens Creek. Okay. And this is just a rendering you see on the left there, that's the Stevens Creek Boulevard, and then the right is what it looks like on Cecil. The applicant provided an operational plan. Service hours of operations is from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. This is in the service area. And then the sales hours is Monday through Saturday, 9 to 9 p.m., and Sunday is 10 to 8 p.m. Trash pickup from Cecil Access will be, they're hoping for morning to afternoon, mid-afternoon for service. And then the applicant held a community meeting on September 14, 2022, and we received concerns of employee parking on Cecil Avenue and off-site parking site. We also received concerns around their operations, comments regarding delivery, service hours, sound, and trash service. The applicant did made a lot of changes to the site due to technical comments and the community comments, and they believe that the changes did address some of these concerns. So upon preparing for the staff report, we also received 4 comment letters through email, also addressing some of the similar comments we received during community meeting regarding lighting, landscape maintenance, honking to navigate site, that's a new comment, and a speaker system, that's also a new comment. And then the employee parking and access to the site from Cecil Avenue. So there is no longer any access from Cecil Avenue. The only operations in the back is the trash pickup. So there's no roll-up door, there's only 1 man door for fire emergency only. As for CEQA, The environmental consultant in impact science prepared the mitigated negative declarations. It went for 30-day review period from June 20th to July 20th of 2022. Comments received from California Department of Toxic Substance Control, we responded to them. They were not significant, and they're attached to your report. Mitigation monitoring and reporting programs was also prepared to address potential impacts and reduce those impacts to a level of less than significant, and we made a conditions approval to ensure compliance with these mitigations. So for zoning and architectural review consistency, so although auto retail is a permitted use, outdoor display of vehicle would require a use permit in the CT zoning district. So temporary off-site parking will be approved administratively, but for the temporary time, there's a conditions that they will need to build that stacker before the lease run out for the temporary off-site parking. The proposed remodel and reconstructions will be within the development standards in the CT zoning districts, consistent with height, setback, lot coverage. Landscape and modern architectural style is compatible with the adjacent Subaru dealership next door. And Lincoln dealership would not have access from Cecil Avenue, except for, again, fire emergency door that can only be accessed by a locks box during the fire emergency. Staff added one conditions in response to the community feedback, is that it will be under P14. All employees shall be directed to park on-site or in off-site parking lot during that temporary time. And then, so that leads us to our conclusion here, and our recommendations to you is that to, one, adopt resolutions to adopting the mitigated negative declarations and the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, and adopt resolutions to approve the use permit for the renovations and additions for a new Lincoln dealership, and adopt resolutions approving the architectural review for the renovations and additions of the new Lincoln dealership. So that concludes staff presentations. The applicants and their team is all online. And they're here to answer any of your questions. So, thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions to staff? Seeing none?
No, I haven't. Thank you. Just to be clear, so when you said about the parking, that there were 13 parking spaces because they have 26 employees, but they're at different times?
They have 13 spaces, and we only require one space per 2 employee.
Okay, so they have a total of 26 employees.
Yeah.
So that includes everybody, salespeople, office staff, and mechanics and such as?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Just wanted to be clear, thank you.
Commissioner
Is there, to kind of mitigate the parking on Cecil, because I'm familiar with that area there, could there be like permit parking for the residents only to try to avoid that? Because I know they've gone through a lot of problems in that area right there. And actually, that area where that dealership is being proposed, that used to be many, many years ago before Subaru, there used to be also a dealership called Ed Fawcett. It was a Triumph dealer many, many years ago. So that area has always been designated for automotive. So, but the only thing that I would see problems will be there's not enough parking for the employees and also for the people that are going to be coming into their dealership. If they could do something for the residents on Cecil that they already have put up with a lot in past times. So I like to see like a permit parking or something to make sure that they, they don't have to deal with that.
So there's no restrictions on the street parking at this time. There's no such permit at this time. The neighborhood can request to have a permit, some sort of restrictions along the street, but you need.
Or can we just suggest it to the city council to look at it, to kind of alleviate the problem that the citizens are going to have to deal with?
So I'll jump in. Public Works actually manages that process, and they've already begun the process. I think it's been in the works for over a year now. Okay. So the residents themselves have to take a vote on whether to approve it, and the first vote that they took did not pass. So the city is looking at revising how they vote, because the way it is right now, if somebody doesn't vote, that means it's a no vote. So that is a process Public Works is working on. They've studied this neighborhood, they're very aware. The community has applied to have permit parking, so it's ongoing.
Yeah, because some of the other streets does have restrictions in parking.
Yeah. And there's timed limits on that street
Yeah.
currently.
Right, and the other streets, right, behind the Lexus, around the Lexus
Yes,
dealers and
yeah.
so on. Okay, thank you.
Staff, I see the letter from the project applicant that even though they have a maximum number of employees, 24 at peak, their current site has 45 parking spaces total. And then they also have a 3-year lease located at adjoining property, I'm assuming, 3158 Stevens Creek Boulevard, which will provide 25 additional parking spaces for the dealership. Is that now codified in your condition of approval, that be like a shared parking program, that be?
It's an off-site permit that they're requesting, and it's not adjoining. The site is across the street of Stevens Creek on the San Jose side. And so for the temporary time that they already secured a lease of 3 years, it's probably 1 year into it already. And so this temporary use of that off-site will allow them to operate the business, build the stacker, and then once the lease is, before the lease is over, they'll use the stacker to accommodate the on-site parking requirement.
So potentially the employees who don't have any other parking space within the site can avail the parking spot across?
I think on this current site plan, for the site plan that shows during the temporary period, they have employees parking on the back, all 13 of them. So I will let the applicant tell you what their probably a surplus of vehicle display will be across the street on the offsite.
I see. Yeah. And the stacked parking is to allow them to provide the showcase of 67 vehicles or 64 vehicles, is that?
Yeah, that is for the vehicle storage outside. And so they do have, during the temporary and the permitted site plan, they have spaces for employees and customers. Okay. It's just you have the display either all on site or some off site during the temporary period.
Okay.
I got a quick question here. Some of the parking that you're going to have on site too is also going to be for the service department, and cars are being serviced, so it's going to take some spaces there too. But it's the off-site across the street. Is that the Goodyear, where the Goodyear tire store was,
no.
or the?
I think it was where Arby used to be.
Okay, but wait a minute. That site is up for development. Their In-N-Out Burger's supposed to be going there, so they're working on that. So how long? This is going to only be a temporary measure.
Yeah.
Until they can build
The permanent, they are
In-N-Out,
building
yeah.
the permanent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not at this time.
Well, hold on. Actually, I will call for the applicant and you get 10 minutes.
I'll let the applicant answer that because they understand the situations.
Yeah, something else eventually is going to go in there, because that's an elite piece of
but they do
property
have a
there.
lease,
Yeah,
so
something else
they'll
is going to go
explain
in
that.
there, right. So it's going to move pretty quickly.
And I'm
that piece
sure
of property.
the applicant has actual information or factual information. But are there any questions to staff? I'm still in the section of questions to staff. If not, we will open public hearing and allow the applicant to come forward and present for up to 10 minutes.
Myron, or you just let them in and then they will tag team.
Do they have a presentation?
Yeah, I'm going to pull it up.
Okay, to the applicant team online, you should all now be promoted and your slides are ready to go.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Myron Slugger. I'm with the general contractor. I don't have a lot to give to you guys. Most of it's coming from my design team, as I am just a general contractor. So I'll probably, Steve, if you don't mind, turn it over to the practice group. Either Jonathan Baker or Sean Chin, and they can kind of go over all the design development that we've gone through.
Sure. This is Jonathan Baker of Praxis 3. architecture team. Steve did a good job on the overall orientation of the project, so we could probably skip forward in the presentation to the existing building image.
Jonathan or Myron, are you planning to show and tell or just show the slides? Because you just skipped through a lot. Okay.
Yeah, Steve Lee is he has the PowerPoint.
I see. Okay.
So I was saying he covered most of the initial slides.
Okay.
So this is the new floor plan and site plan that you've seen. So on the left is the Stevens Creek Boulevard showroom portion is in the same portion, same location. The footprint of the showroom is essentially the same. We have squared off the corner of the building. And then the shop is expanded to the west, up against the adjacent Subaru building, and then to the north towards Cecil, yep, right along there. And then dashed, you can see the hatched areas where the stackers go. And we worked with some of the comments we got earlier on were about that plan east wall of the stackers. Originally, that was just a screen wall before the stackers were considered. And so now it's going to provide much more privacy for the residents. It's going to help screen noise and screen the stackers as well. So from the outside, you on the Cecil side, you'll see a green screen. And then from the Stevens Creek side, the stacker is also screened with architectural walls. So it's probably easier to see on some of the other views. You can go to the next slide. So this is an image of the current facility. So all the full exterior renovation. So all the materials you see are either replaced or refinished. Currently, there's a reflective glass that you see there. All that's replaced with much more inviting, clear glazing that meets energy code. Existing service drop-off is on the right, showroom on the left. You go to the next slide. This is an image of the project in its completed state. Materials are architectural metal panel and a white metal panel and a dark bronze, and then all new glazing, clear low-E glazing, and a gray stucco that surrounds those windows, and basically the material below that white sallow canopy along the front. And then again, the view from Cecil. And elevations again. Overall building height remains the same on the showroom side, and right about the same on the Cecil side as well. Landscape, if Steve Wheeler's online, he can elaborate on some of that.
Thanks, Jonathan. Yes, taking off from what Steve said when he gave an overview of the project, really what we're doing is continuing the existing streetscape that has been developed with the Subaru project to the west, along both Stevens Creek Boulevard and Cecil Avenue. We really have the two street frontages for the project. Along Stevens Creek, we're continuing planting of plane trees, which are planted in front of Subaru in the planter strip between the curb and the sidewalk. And that planter strip is planted with a native no-mow turf. Then back of the sidewalk, we have a stormwater retention planter that runs in front of the dealership showroom itself will be planted with a gray rush native plant. And then as we're heading to the east, there is a low shrub in front of the parking lot that's an island bush snapdragon native evergreen shrub. And then another larger stormwater treatment planter at the southeast corner of the site that's planted with the gray rush and the native western redbud. The snapdragon shrub also is planted through the center of the parking lot to screen a little bit from the service porte cochere to the parking to the east of it. Along Cecil, really it's a layering of 3 different plant materials. Along the sidewalk is a ceanothus ground cover. Then we get into a long stormwater treatment planter where we're going to have Mahonia shrub, and then against the base of the wall in the back of the service building, there'll be a coffeeberry evergreen shrub. And then finally, as Jonathan mentioned, we will continue the same trellis and vine planting on the wall that occurs now on the back of the Subaru building. So there'll be a very nice consistency along Cecil Avenue.
That's the last slide.
Thank you. Do you have any visuals of the stacked parking structure? Like to
If you
see.
go to, yeah, so if you look at the bottom elevation, from ground level, it'll appear as cars on the ground, you will almost not see any of it. So the upper portion, the top 2 levels are screened by a stucco clad wall, and you enter in on the ground level.
So is this like the automated parking that moves? That's what I was trying to get a visual. I'd really like to see that. I mean, you had the coolest technology there that you were getting a permit for, but it'll be nice to have seen the stacked parking as the new innovation, at least on this site. Okay, any questions to applicant? And sorry, am I missing Lance there? If not, I'm going to ask the question. How long is temporary? Maybe staff or the applicant can respond?
Probably the applicant. They know the time of the lease when it ends.
Say, applicant.
So Reza, I unmuted you and you can talk. Cannot talk tonight. You can go ahead and unmute yourself and speak if you want to speak to this question.
What is the temporary timeline for the stacking to be completed?
Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, now we can.
Thank you. So we have, we're working on extending that lease. So just to answer to Mr. Buza's comment earlier that In-N-Out is going there. In-N-Out was turned down. We're working on a long-term lease on that property. So we will have parking there, as well as the vitamin shop, as well as a property that's behind that as well, that's ours. We will have that long-term. But to answer your question, before our current term on our lease is done, I believe with Mr. Lee, we agreed that we will have the stackers up and running. We don't plan on building the stackers at the time of the construction. We will have the stackers done once in the inevitable or the unfortunate event that we do not extend our lease at the other property. So we will have, that was part of the agreement, that we have to have the stackers done before our lease is done at the other, across the street, San Jose property.
And Reza, you have time since we're asking questions, but in short, your response is you're pending a lease with extension with the property across and beyond. And so you don't have a timeline yet to actually confirm when your stacked parking will be complete until and unless you have a definitive no from the lease extension process?
So the agreement was that we have parking across the street. Right now, we have probably about 150 cars parked over there from our employees from the Subaru, as well as our Lincoln employees park at that location. We are working on, so that lease runs up in 3 years. So if you can go back to it, there you go. So right now, what you see, that yellow area, we have about 150, sometimes 200 cars parked over there. We're working on getting the property to the, I guess, to the right of that, which is the vitamin shop. And we actually have, you see the dirt land behind that? That is also ours. So we're trying to secure all of that on a long-term lease. But as it is, the yellow area is we have a 3-year lease on that particular property right now. We're trying to work on getting the whole property, including the vitamin shop, which is the same landlord, for an extended period of over 30, 40 years.
So again, the question I'm asking is, you do not propose to have a timeline on your parkings, your stacked parking, or do you have that already as a project with a schedule?
So we were not planning on building that at this particular time.
Got it.
We were planning to build that in the event we lose our parking.
That's exactly what I was getting. Thank you so much, Reza. I appreciate that.
I got a question here.
Yes, Commissioner Buzia.
Yeah, so a two-part question here. What are you affiliated with, that dealership? Is it a Penske, Auto Nation, or what is it? Well, I want to thank you for coming to Santa Clara, because I know the tax basis is fantastic. When you guys come in, it's great. I hope that you don't move across the street or change your address to the other side of the street. I'm glad you're in Santa Clara.
We have 4 stores in Santa Clara, so all 4 of our Northern California stores are in Santa Clara.
Oh, they are? Which one are they, if I don't mind asking? Just
The adjacent Subaru, Nissan, and Infiniti, as well as the current Lincoln.
Okay, yeah, so I know who you bought the Infiniti from. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
Thank you, Commissioner Buzia. Any other questions to the applicant before we have a discussion? Staff, do you want to add clarifications? Go right.
Yeah, so at the time of the staff report, we were not aware of a lease extension. So the conditions right now in the conditions of approval is that the stacker will be built before the 3 years lease ends. That would need to be modified now to whenever.
That's exactly what I was going for.
Yeah, okay.
You understand where I was leading you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I think staff will have additional clarification based on condition, based on your current confirmation. And I appreciate actually that you have the opportunity to minimize the impact to the residential neighborhood. That's very assuring that you have both the land and the parking spot to accommodate both your immediate need as well as your future growth. And from a project standpoint, we welcome this project again to our city. With that, I would like to, any other members of the public? So before, please come forward, sir. Thank you for waiting patiently.
Good evening. My name is Mark Irving. I am a resident of Cecil. That sits off the side. Now, we're not opposed to the growth of Santa Clara or the growth of the Lincoln dealership. We would like to see the user permit to be a little bit more specific in regards to deliveries not being done on Cecil. Lighting and how it's set, so it doesn't affect the Cecil, especially if that the stacker is not available. That pulls the whole wall out, and that hard lighting comes directly into the neighborhood. We already see that hard lighting come from the Subaru dealership. Employee parking has to be addressed. It will not be placed on Cecil, as although they say there's no access through the garbage gate, they can get to Cecil. And this is something that's already occurring. Okay? And then as far as noise, honking for security reasons, that's got to be removed. The Subaru dealership continues to honk because they say it's security reasons as they go upstairs. and it's annoying as all could be. We've had problems as well as the car wash, which has been addressed. Thank you for taking care of it. The final thing is, and I don't want to take any more of the time, again, we are not opposed to the Lincoln dealership. We're opposed to how currently the user permit is written. There's not enough detail. Thank you.
Thank you for coming and voicing your concern. Yes.
I have a
Commissioner
question
Boozer, go
for you.
ahead.
I'm glad you came up. Regarding to what Leslie said, that it came to a vote for the parking permit or so on, Cecil, and it said that the residents turned it down. Were you aware of that?
Yes,
Or?
I am aware of this, and we have a meeting, I believe it's scheduled for April for the next discussion on Cecil. And there is the south side and the north side of the street. The south side presently where residentials reside is 2-hour parking permit, and with permits except for Saturday, 2 hours parking unless you have a residential permit. On the north side, there is no parking permit at this point. There's no restriction whatsoever. In front of the City Planning Commission, I believe, not the Planning Commission, but Public Works, we're asking that no overnight parking is done on that side, as a lot of the businesses park their cars there. We're the only street in Santa Clara that has Stevens Creek addresses with access into a public domain, okay? Into a residential domain. There's 30 businesses that come into our street. That means there's 30 times the normal traffic going into the street, including trash, deliveries. We got 4 restaurants that have daily deliveries. We have a UPS store that has 4 times a day deliveries. And then we have trash, commercial trash consistently. And it's on our yard as the trash cans come by. As the trash people come up, we pick it up all the time. That's something on another day.
Yeah.
We're dealing with that. All we ask is we keep the status quo, if not improve it. As we improve Stevens Creek, we can improve the back end as well.
I see your plight. I guess I'm very much aware of what you go through, and especially like you said, on the north side too. That is really hectic, and they use Cecil as a cut-through street also to go into Westfield Mall and so on. So it's you have put through a lot.
As one of the things I would bring to this thing, and there's a nursery sitting on Henry and Cecil, which has pickup for kids. With all that traffic occurring through that nursery pickup, it's an ugly situation that someday will.
Right. That used to be like a leather shop or a cowboy shop. They used to. That's what it used to be there before.
No, actually, it was the boating store.
The boating, yeah. Right in the corner. Yeah, yeah. It's right in the corner there.
Okay, thank you very much.
you.
I appreciate the interchange. Commissioner Butler?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay. Any other members who would like to speak to this item? If not, I will entertain a motion to close public hearing.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. First, we need the rebuttal.
Oh, there is okay. I will have the applicant, if you're interested, you're welcome to share your rebuttal. We just heard from a member of the public on some of the concerns. You're welcome to address his comments.
Well, I think that would be more coming from Brian and Reza, because I think a lot of stuff is really based on the parking and their employees making the noise and stuff. And I think Brian and Reza both have are working on it. Brian, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, I'm right here. So, to answer our neighbors' concerns, we agree that the deliveries and all of the traffic on Cecil should be minimized. So on our end, if you look at the actual project, there is nothing that can come in from the Cecil side. We purposely did not build a gate there. Fire wanted access, and then I knew that would be an issue with new employees that don't know that they cannot park on Cecil and should not have any ingress and egress. So we made sure that we did not have that gate in order to get in and out. As far as the trash enclosure, as it is right now, that gate is open sometimes, and we even have residents that walk through We don't want that at all. We want to have two gates, one that opens up to the Cecil just for the trash pickup, and then one for us to just put in the trash. And those two gates, basically 4 doors or a gate and doors on our side on the lot, in order to prevent any access in or out. I don't want anyone to go to Cecil. I get the emails. I talk to Tracy. We don't want to have any of that. I mean, we've been here since '98. We've been here longer than most of the neighbors have. So we know a lot of people over here. We want to have good relationships with everybody. So there will be no deliveries from the rear. It's just trash pickup, and that's it.
Thank you for addressing, and I will make sure that staff recognizes those in their conditions of approval. The applicant has yielded. I'm hoping that that is stronger language in your conditions of approval based on the confirmations in all practical respects, respecting the neighbors, especially residential with the bright lights. I can understand and relate to it. So I would highly encourage, and to that effect, also if you can progress with continuing your screening, at least, even if the stacking is not built, such that, we're not just relying on the stacking to provide the screening. We should have either trees or either a fall wall or some other mechanism that at least offers that additional barrier for lights. I can understand and support the members, the residential neighborhood. Wait until you're recognized, though. And to that effect, if we have any conditions, staff, would you like to reassert any of the conditions that you currently have that talk to redeeming all the concerns?
Yeah, regarding the lightings, we do have a conditions P3. P3 states that all lighting shall be shielded to prevent any spillover onto adjacent properties. Developers shall adjust angle, shield, or dimming of the lights should there are spillover over lights onto adjacent properties. Bright lights shall be subbed or non-white in a color equivalent to low or high pressure sodium light, but all adequate for safety as employee customer parking and shield. And if there's any lights that is clearly visible, we do ask applicant to work with us after to either include more shielding or dim the lights.
And also, what's the height for the light poles?
I'll let the
70 feet from the property line to the north.
From comparison, is that like the street light height?
Yeah. It's probably, you're going to get more light from the street light itself than the light on the
from the property?
Or those are much closer, I guess.
There are additional screening mechanisms if you find the light still spilling over from your lighting studies. I'm sure the applicant is open to the recommendation, and if the, go ahead.
May I speak? At the moment, there are 3 large trees that if those trees are gone, and the lights are going to come, is going to bleed away.
Okay, thank you for.
Yeah, it's not because of the staggered building. So it is a fire requirement according to the Silicon Valley Power. And to underground it, you would need to build the conduit and the trenches, which would remove those trees.
Okay. Anywhere on site?
No, because right behind the wall would be the parking spaces. So you're not going to plant any trees. Could increase wall height to 8 feet. That was suggested at some point as well. So the wall height.
Okay. I mean, at this point, we are nitpicking here, but solutions, because I can understand what staff just mentioned. The trees are really going to not happen. With that, okay, any other questions? Okay. I'm ready to entertain a motion from any of Commissioners' public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Bhatnagar, seconded by Commissioner Biagini, and mine will be a verbal vote. Aye from me. Aye from Commissioner Bhatnagar as well.
Yes.
Okay, very good. The motion passed. Thank you.
So we now have a motion for the project.
And I would request 3 motions. it would be appropriate to make that change when you get to
Which motion? I'll make the first motion.
Okay.
All right, I'd like to, on the first recommendation, motion to adopt. Somebody going to second it?
Second.
He just second. Commissioner Bhatnagar, seconded. Motion by Commissioner Verbal, yes.
Verbal, yes?
And the motion passed. Thank you.
Do we have a motion, second motion?
And before you do that, if I could jump in, because I think the second one's the CP, we would simply request that for the offsite parking, it would simply say prior to the end of the lease for the offsite parking.
You're saying at the end of the 3-year lease of the parking, additional parking, that's what you're tying it into?
Immediately prior.
You can't, that doesn't go up overnight.
Yes, it would absolutely take planning ahead, but presumably the lease will have at least 1-year terms. So I think it's reasonable to assume they could have a year's warning if
A year's, or
to continue.
let's put that in too.
No, but they're trying to remove that 3-year requirement.
Yeah, I thought what they were trying to do was the lease was going, they were trying to get it a lease for a much longer term,
Yes.
right?
But as drafted, the condition would require them to build the stackers no later than 3 years from now. So we're deleting the 3-year requirement. We're requiring them to have it in operation before the lease expires. And since virtually all real estate,
I understand, now it makes total sense.
yes, that's, yeah, so.
Okay.
So just a note here regarding the member of the public who spoke. If the lease is extended, then in particular that stacker does not go up. And in particular, then the conditions for lighting are more exacerbated for a longer period of time for our public, members of the public and residents out there. So there should be some accommodative language that says if the stacker is not built, this problem needs to be addressed in some mutually agreed manner. Either the city directs that or the members of the public have some inputs to that.
So I can address that. So yes, if the stacker is not there, there may be light impact. We don't know that yet until we see the light design. That's why we do have a conditions to limit the lighting spillover through shield and other means. So that's our typical standards for lighting spillover. And if after the constructions there's still issues to the residents, we can address them, even adjust lighting, or we still get to use these conditions to continue to enforce lighting at that time.
Okay, so as long as we are protected, yeah?
I'm looking at the member of the public. You heard the staff. You can follow up with staff. That Planning Commission's recommendation is to ensure that lighting does not spill over in the event the stacking is not built or until built. And then also want to emphasize or probably confirm that there will be absolutely no employee parking or spillover parking from services except garbage pickup through the Cecil.
Yes.
Cecil Avenue, yeah.
Yeah, and that's in the conditions P14 that's added.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope that met your interest, and thank you, applicant, for being open and acknowledging, and we appreciate the partnership. Commissioner Salem.
Yeah, I think we can simplify this and simply say that the lighting issues need to be addressed and not tie it to the stacker. Just make make it a separate concern and have it tracked.
Yes.
Because the stacker is a solution, it's not the problem.
Exactly, but to the point, I think where staff and we were deliberating was the stacking was going to be a natural shield.
Yes, it's a solution.
Yeah.
But the problem
Was still the lighting, yes. Yes, agree. Okay.
Yeah, so that they've already addressed in the
Condition of.
Yeah, the conditions.
Yep. It is addressed in the condition that Steve just noted. All right, sorry, Commissioner Salem, any other?
Nope, that was it.
Thank you. We will now entertain the motion with these three added conditions, clarifications? Commissioner,
I think you're looking at me here.
whoever wants to, I could go. But
Well, I get a little nervous about all the language here,
no,
but.
I think it's codified. From what I heard, staff already has the
No,
language.
yeah, I understand that, but, okay, it's the part that Xander was talking about, modification to remove the 3-year. That needs to be added to recommendation number 2,
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
and that's the language that you have, so I don't have to try to say it and create a nightmare. All right,
I can try and recite it right now, just as, for the record.
you say it, and if it's the way I think it should be, then I will say so moved. How's that?
I like your plan. Condition P13, as originally drafted, has a 3-year limit. We're proposing to delete the words 3-year. In addition, new condition P14 about employee parking will be added, as Mr. Lee referenced. And we have received direction from the commission to diligently enforce condition P3, which requires the developer to adjust the lighting if there's any spillover onto adjacent properties.
Was that recommendation number 2, reworded?
All of that is part of recommendation 2, which is approval of the CUP.
All
These
right.
are all conditions to the CUP.
So moved.
Thank you.
We have a motion by Commissioner Biagini. I need a second. Commissioner Booza, thank you very much for.
Thank you, Xander.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead and cast your vote, please.
Mine will be a verbal aye.
Verbal yes?
Thank you. Thank you, the motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, somebody else's turn to do the motion now. By order from Commissioner Biagini.
Okay, unless it's going to take forever, then I'll go ahead and make a motion. Somebody else going to do it? Okay. Motion to adopt a resolution approving the architectural review of the renovation and addition for the new Lincoln dealership.
That's it.
Needs a second.
Seconded by Commissioner Crutchlow.
Second.
Okay.
Okay.
And this is to approve staff recommendation 3.
Verbally yes?
Thank you.
Verbal yes.
Thank you. Great, thank you. The motion passed. Thank you.
Hey, that was a record of the night that I thought it would be. Okay. We don't have any more public hearing items. And so I'm going to now move to reports of commission, board liaison, and committee members. Announcements and their items. I think staff had an announcement on one of the upcoming conferences.
State of the Valley Conference.
State of the Valley. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So we're on number 2. So I did put this on the agenda. I just received notification that tickets will go on sale next week for State of the Valley. They are not advertising the cost yet, but last year it was $95. And right now they are saying they have in-person as well as virtual attendance. Now, last year, did you do in-person?
No, it was virtual, and
Yeah.
it was $35 last year.
Yeah, okay, so the night, was it 35? Okay, I'm sorry, I must have looked at the wrong expense today
Yeah.
when I looked it up. So it is limited in person, so you can take a vote today if you'd like to expend the funds, and then we can find out on December 10th when they open up the sales, what they have available.
I would like to go.
I would also like to go in person because as I recall, the online version left a whole lot to be desired.
Yeah, I know.
All the online
Again,
attendance?
they do have limited in-person, so as soon as the tickets open up, I'll find out how we can do that.
Thank you.
Do we want to know right now who wants to attend, so I can
I'd
move
like
forward
to-
on that, or do you want
We
me
can
to?
put an amount. and then we can just do a quick.
Yeah, so I think what would be helpful is to know who does want
wants
to
to go.
attend. That way we won't have to send a lot of emails.
1st.
And if anyone changes their mind, they can contact me right away.
I'd like to go. Commissioner Biagini,
I would like to go.
Commissioner Crutchlow, and Commissioner Bhatnagar, Commissioner Booza. We're getting into Brown Act. Well, all commissioners.
Commissioner Salim, you're a no?
And we haven't given
Everybody
Commissioner
else is
Huang a
yes.
chance, so
Everybody
let's.
else is yes.
Let's assume he might.
It's Christmas present.
He's not here.
And then I can check with Commissioner Wang.
Yes.
So do you want to take a vote then, just to expend the funds? And what?
It's a Friday.
Friday, March 1st.
It's a Friday.
It's one, and it's an afternoon. I think it goes from morning till afternoon.
It says taking place the morning of Friday, March 1st,
What, March 1st?
March 1st, Friday, March 1st.
2024.
Okay, so basically now you're all a yes.
All a yes.
I would assume
I have a
Huang
feeling
as
City
well.
Council will also be
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
much wanting. So we may
would think
just
so, too.
look at a table cost if it's going to be much more.
That's one of the better ones.
We could look into that.
I think it was 3,500 for a team.
Right now, they're actually taking the reservations for tables.
Yeah.
So if you just want to take the vote to expend funds
Yes.
for all commissioners to attend, then
Motion to expend the funds for all the commissioners to
Second.
Okay.
attend live the Joint Venture Silicon Valley 2024 State of the Valley Conference.
Seconded.
Second, yeah.
Crutchlow. I'll do a verbal yes.
yes, thank you. Thank you.
Of course, the intent is that if
Commissioner
there's
Crutchlow,
enough
did you want to
folks
register your vote?
to buy a
Sure, I know what
table.
it is, okay.
Too many conversations.
Thank
Hold
you,
on.
very good, thank you. Okay, I'll proceed on that, and I will get back to you.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing it early to our attention.
Oh, totally, absolutely, yeah.
All right, we have reports from a director of community development reports or staff. Planning Commission budget updates. Am I looking at the right item?
Yes, you are.
Okay,
You want to
thanks.
start with the budget?
Oh, okay.
I'll put it up for you.
Your budget is, I don't have it in front of me, I'm sorry. It's, has not changed, and my apologies, I had it in front of me.
It's right there. If you look at the screen,
Thank you.
we see it. We see
There
it.
you
So
go.
we should be okay for the
Yeah.
convention.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you, you too.
Okay, so we got the budget update, and we just took the motion as well for the previous item to expend some monies, so that should capture both. Any upcoming agenda items, staff?
Yes, so as I stated earlier this evening, January 10th, I have an item on the agenda for you to discuss your priorities, which then you can discuss with the council at your Planning Commission City Council dinner on January 30th.
And is that from 5, or is the time?
I do believe it's at 5, yes.
Okay. Okay.
And as usual, I owe you a legislative update. Unfortunately, January 10th is going to be a little ambitious because I'm going to be out the first week of January. So I think we're tentatively planning on January 31st for that.
Is that the second meeting of the month?
Yes.
Okay. And, ideally, when we have the training sessions, don't have too many items on the agenda, so, I'll leave it to staff to come up with that timing.
We do have a number of items coming forward soon.
Yes, that's why I figured, like, if
We
January.
will
Exactly. It might be February for all.
occasionally we do that.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I've got a question about that. I'm real curious. So when we talk about what we are going to talk to City Council about,
Yes.
when do we talk about what we want to talk to City Council about?
On the 10th.
On the 10th. And then I think staff, Elizabeth had sent a very thoughtful email asking me, do you want me to send it? So I requested her on my behalf to send out. You can share your email version of your thoughts so that staff can consolidate and bring it forward for the January 10th discussion. But feel free to share your thoughts ahead. It helps streamline. It brings the conversation very much.
Send it to
Email back to Elizabeth. Elizabeth, if you could just read.
Sure, I'll resend it, yeah. We did that last year. The commissioners sent in all their
topics,
and then staff went ahead and compiled the list, and that really made the discussion go quite well.
and we can talk through the topics on 10th. Yes, Commissioner Silva.
So my question was specifically on that, and since Andrew's here, maybe he can advise us on how to avoid any Brown Act issues of aggregating our suggestions so that we don't wind up with a list with 4 or 5 things duplicated multiple times.
I'll consolidate them like I did last year. I grouped all of your
You just need to send it to
together.
staff.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're just going to send it to staff, yeah.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is for your discussion, then it'll be
But it-
refined before you go to the council.
But I always appreciate caution when it comes to the Brown Act.
Yeah, because I thought maybe we were going to do a committee or something to pre-flight some ideas, but they can't do that because then it's a chain discussion and,
No, you could do an ad hoc committee to discuss it.
Yeah,
And it
but-
would be like assembled only for this, but for such a short time.
yeah. But the problem is the committee would be us.
Yeah,
If it's a committee of 3 or fewer, it'd
only
be
3.
fine.
yeah. Ad hoc
But
is
we
got
couldn't,
specific.
yeah, it gets complicated. I understood from last time, as we submit these issues or suggestions, staff needs to, of course, aggregate them, but we can never see what other people have submitted because that creates the issue with the Brown Act.
We will see it on January 10th,
10th.
and we will deliberate it as,
Okay, so we should possibly set some time aside in the discussion to first off aggregate and eliminate duplicates so that when we talk about what we specifically want, we don't double up. Okay, good, thank you.
absolutely. Okay, seeing no other topics. Oh, City Council?
Yeah, one more.
One more, just one more. 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
I might leave early.
So the council recently took 2 actions that would be of interest to the commission. They approved a tentative map for 22 townhomes on 3378 El Camino Real that the Planning Commission had also recommended approval of. And then last evening, they approved the downtown precise plan and form-based code. Yes, and Madam Chair, you were prominently pictured in a video.
Oh my
You
God.
should go back and watch. It was very, very good.
Why?
Yes.
Numerous
Yes.
people cited your speech
Yes, a
about
lot of
how one of the important things to do with this plan is to make sure it's properly enforced, because it won't do any good if we don't actually follow the standards. So people took that and ran with it. They
Yes.
cited the importance of vigilant enforcement of these new standards.
I humbly accept and appreciate that.
I recommend you go back and watch the
Thank you,
public
I
comments.
will. Thank you so much.
Well done, thank you.
Yeah, cited by members of the public and council members as
Yes.
well. And while I'm rambling on, I'd just like to mention also that at least 10 different people talked about how wonderful the planning manager, Leslie Xavier, was throughout the last 2 years and 45 minutes of getting that downtown precise plan across.
5 years.
Sorry, 5 years, 45 3-hour meetings. You think
Yeah.
planning commission meetings are rough, but man, she went to all those DCTF meetings. So this plan is mostly on her shoulders, and it's her doing, and it's across the finish line with not one
Yay.
person voting against and not one person speaking against.
Yeah.
Once.
Congratulations.
Every speaker
That's
was
great.
Oh
was
my
in
God,
support.
that is actually
That's a
that
huge
by itself
accomplishment.
Yeah, it was really great.
is a significant accomplishment, and I'm super, super proud of
Yeah.
the staff, the community, you know,
Everyone.
who came together for this, like, much, much needed
Yeah.
cause.
The next mayor of Santa.
We will strike that from the record. We will strike anything said from now on off the record.
Strike anything from Merrick Cresswell off the
Meeting
record.
adjourned, meeting adjourned.
Those are all of my updates. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very thoughtful of you to tell me that as well.
Yeah.
Meeting adjourned, 8:01. We have a consensus vote.
Oh, we have a little spread over here that was given to the Planning Commission in appreciation for everything the Planning Commission does, and just to say thank you for a great year, and off to 2024.
And a very, very happy holidays. Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas. Any Hanukkah?
Happy Hanukkah and
No.
Any other celebration that I might miss? All of the holidays. Happy, happy holidays.
Just don't talk business.
Not brown cake, okay?
Social,
Cake is brown, that's
social
all.
and ceremonial events are fine. Just don't talk about city business. I don't know what else you all are going to talk about, but.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, we are.